Good evening, everyone. I would like to go ahead and call this evening's Kings Local School Board meeting to order. Mr. Morrow, would you please call the roll?
Here. Here.
Ms. Cowan,
Here.
Mr. Belfrom, Mr. Skrull.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic which stands, nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull.
Yes. First on our agenda this evening, we have some exciting news. We have approval for a new principal at Columbia. Mr. Sears?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Skrull, and everyone. Welcome this evening. We're really excited tonight to start our agenda with a recommendation for the board to approve a new Columbia Intermediate principal. And so with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Spinner.
Thank you, Mr. Sears. President Skrull, Kings Board of Education. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you tonight our recommendation for building principal at Columbia. At the outset of our search in late February for a new building principal at CIS, we sought feedback from their staff. This input proved invaluable as we received over 80 applications from individuals in and around the area interested in the position. Following a thorough paper screening process, guided by the feedback we received, 10 candidates were invited to the central office for a brief screening interview with a small group of district-level administrators. From there, the pool was narrowed to 5 candidates for a second round of interviews, which took place across 3 separate conference rooms comprising building and district-level admin, instructional coaches, and representatives from the Columbia staff. After this round, the 18 representatives involved completed a survey, providing us with even more valuable data to inform our decision for the third and final interview, conducted again with district-level admin. This comprehensive process led to tonight's recommendation. Current Assistant Principal of Lakota Ridge Junior School, Mr. Josh Morrow. Some of the feedback from our survey included the following comments about Josh and his potential to lead Columbia into the future. Josh is genuinely positive and prioritizes building relationships with students, staff, parents, and the community. His excitement and energy for educational leadership is impressive, refreshing, and contagious. Josh has a great amount of experience with building a data culture that drives instruction as well as personalized learning. His special education background and student-centered approach is strong. Josh is the breath of fresh air that Columbia desperately needs. Josh earned his Bachelor of Science in Education degree in 2017 and Master of Education in School Leadership degree in 2020, both from Miami University. He began his career as an intervention specialist at Lakota Ridge Junior School immediately after graduation, before transitioning to his current role as their assistant principal in 2020. He resides in Lebanon with his wife, Sophie, to whom he has been married for almost 6 years, and their 2 children here with us tonight, Jet and Cameron. President Skrull, members of the Kings Board of Education, it is our pleasure to recommend Mr. Josh Morrow to serve as the next principal of Columbia Intermediate School.
May I have a motion to approve Mr. Morrow as the new principal at Columbia?
I'll make that motion. I'll second the motion.
Treasurer Morrow, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull.
Yes. Welcome.
As we often do in Kings, and we say we lead the country in spiritware, we would like to welcome Mr. Morrow to our administrative staff and school family. And with that, we have from the expertise of Mrs. Gould, we have a swag bag for you, Mr. Morrow, including there's some treats for the kids in there, and a little onesie for, you'll see, because you got to start Kings strong at some point. So, but we appreciate it. Welcome. And Mr. Morrow wanted to say a few things.
Yeah, so first off, I would just like to thank the board. This has been, a wonderful experience. I've gotten to meet a lot of great people. And I'm, even looking forward even more so, being able to go over to the building and see the staff over at Columbia. I can tell it's a wonderful staff. And so we're going to continue to build on all the great things that are going on. But I just want to thank the board. And I want to thank my family who made it as well. My wife, Sophie, is here with our 3-year-old and his birthday tomorrow. And we have a 1-month-old as well. So I want to thank my family, but I want to thank the board and everybody at Kings for this opportunity. And, I'm blessed and forever thankful and can't wait to join this team.
Okay, moving along. Next item on our agenda is reports and presentations. Mr. Sears, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, our driver is taking pictures for the Rays presentation. Mr. Freeman's got it. Look, pinch hitter, we love it. So next up on our agenda is the monthly Kings High School Rays presentation. So let's welcome Taylor and Gabby once again for all the awesome stuff that's happening at Kings.
Thank you. Is this on? Oh, okay, sorry. Thank you so much. We are so excited to be back and share some of the great things that have been happening in April.
Okay, starting off strong with our athletics, our men's volleyball team were victorious in their debut game against Wayne, and it was also a program sweep with a JV victory as well. And our women's lacrosse team have had a great start to their season and are currently holding a 5-0 record with a recent 28-6 W over St. Ursula, and they'll be recognizing their seniors this Friday. And our men's lacrosse team are also having a great season and are tied for first in the ECC.
Our baseball team has also had a great start to their season. They are first in the ECC and holding a 6-1 overall record. Our softball team is having a very impressive season as well, undefeated in the ECC, and they've already had some amazing wins. They went 3-1 on their Vero Beach trip over spring break, and they are actually playing M&D right now over at the Castle, so good luck to them. And then our men's tennis team is having similar success. They've put on great performances, especially our doubles teams.
For academics, our National Honor Society hosted their dodgeball tournament today after school. This event brought students together for a fun and spirited competition where teams from 10th and 11th grade compete to be featured at our upcoming spring pep rally.
Students from Mrs. Gilbert's senior composition class have been paired with KME students to build connections across grade levels. They have pen pals and they just write to each other, and it's a very cute little relationship.
Congratulations to Gavin Groff for earning the prestigious Franklin B. Walter Award. One senior from each of Ohio's 88 counties received this honor each year. Congratulations on this prestigious award, Gavin, and we're super excited to see what the future holds for you.
And then this past week at the King's celebration, we recognized 18 seniors, 9 of those for military assignments, and then 9 more for their career quest. We are super proud of these seniors and excited to see what they do in the near future.
Biomed students recently competed at the state HOSA competition in Toledo. HOSA is a future health professionals group, and it's a global student-led organization that offers real-world experiences and leadership opportunities in the health field. With over 260,000 members across 5,200 chapters, HOSA helps students become college and career ready, supporting King's Power 5 initiative. We're so proud of our students for representing this incredible CTSO.
And then senior Bella Bratz has been working with some special education teachers at the high school on her senior special education inclusion project. During our Fifth Bell airs time, she leads a group of students in a different activity. Right now, I know they are learning how to line dance in preparation for their day prom that's coming up. Bella is planning to study special education at OU next year, so this is a great way for her to get a head start on her future career.
Yes. Throughout National Art Honor Society, Junior Mahi Patel designed and painted a beautiful underwater scene onto a rain barrel. Her design was selected to be painted for the Save Local Waters initiative. Mahi has spent the last few months painting the rain barrel during her free time as a part of this project. She plans to attend college to study biology after graduation.
And then next week is show week for our spring musical Chicago Teen Edition. The cast and crew, including Taylor, have been working very hard on this show. Tickets are on sale right now for April 24th, 25th, and 26th. I know I'll be there the 25th, so definitely buy your tickets. It's going to be a great performance.
Our indoor drumline placed 11th at the WGI Sport of the Arts Class A World Percussion Finals at the University of Dayton for their performance That Which Guides Us. They took down over 10 states for this prestigious title. Throughout last week, you could just feel the excitement booming from all of those students, and it definitely had an impact on the whole school, so we're so proud of them.
And then finally, each month, teachers nominate a RAISE student who they believe demonstrated one of the 5 pillars of RAISE, which is respect, accountability, integrity, and service and enthusiasm. Congratulations to Hannah, Jose, Mallory, Roxana, and Vivi.
Thank you so much for having us again. We're super excited to see you next month for our last presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I know I say this every month, but you bring a lot of energy. We really appreciate everything you bring.
Next on our agenda, I would like to welcome Charlie Janigan and Jenny Gallo to provide the board on a high school design update on kind of where we are in that interior design process. So I will turn it over to Charlie.
All right, I'll open it up and then I'll have Jenny, you can go back one. So you may remember when I first started presenting images and concepts, I always would say it's going to get more exciting. There's going to get more, the images will have more color. Well, we're here now with some really exciting images. So we've got about 20 shots of throughout the whole building. And at the end, I kind of have a summary of some next steps. So I'm going to hand it over to Jenny to take you guys through a tour of some wonderful spaces.
Now you can click. So as Charlie said, we have a series of images. Some of them are images you saw last time, but we've continued to build upon the concept like the one you're seeing here. So this is of the main entry. Mostly I wanted to show this image again to remind you of the graphics strategy that we have throughout the facility. So this is something that is unique to the Kings High School design. And again, you're going to see it used in a couple different ways. So this is your view as you come through the front doors near the main office. And then a similar concept repeats at the event entry. This image and the design here has evolved to really bring together the 2 big box spaces, which is our theater on the right and the arena on the left. We really wanted to give each space their own identity and have them meet in this lobby space. So as we go into the arena and into the theater soon, keep this image in mind. Again, we're starting to have common design elements that you will see throughout. So we'll go into the arena, which the design here has not changed since last time, but I wanted to put it up as a reminder because we do have the next image, which is of the auxiliary gym. So this is directly adjacent to the main gym, will primarily support PE and allow you to have a lot of different opportunities after the school day. This is a full-size basketball court. So again, your ability to have competitions in here and different club events is great. But again, celebrating your brand, even in the auxiliary spaces, was really important to us. As we go into the theater, again, we wanted to create a space that was really beautiful, powerful, but really just provided a nice timeless backdrop to the arts that are going to happen in this space. You are standing on the stage looking out in this image. So again, using the warm wood element that hugs both the ceiling and the wall, like you saw at that entry in the lobby space, is kind of the dominant theme here. Again, just really showcasing the art in a really timeless space. Jumping back to some new images, we're starting to work on the design of the main reception space. So here you can see, again, celebrating some school branding and having 2 different check-in stations, one for attendants and one for visitors, just creating a warm and welcoming space. We have a image of the community room. So this is where I believe board meetings will actually take place in the new high school. So we have this set up for board meetings right now. Again, trying to warm the space up with a wood feature that you're going to see throughout. And again, just providing a great resource to the community that can be used both during the school day for academics, but after hours to support the community in a variety of ways. Upstairs, outside of the Innovation Hub, we have our counseling suite. So again, we're starting to bring in some graphics. That white wall actually has the Power of 5 on it, and we're starting to have a graphic concept that represents those concepts as well that you'll see in the Innovation Hub. The Innovation Hub, you saw this image last time. Again, we've progressed the color story a little bit and the branding story. Again, bringing in the Power 5 skills here on the graphic underneath where it says Innovation Hub, bringing in some of those warmer, more natural feeling colors that you're going to see in the academic spaces also. Upstairs from the Innovation Hub, again, we're starting to bring the Power 5 into a graphic concept. So actually coming up with a unique icon package that can be used in graphics and hopefully in other ways to support the promotion of those skills throughout the school building. We also have what we're calling a large group room that is outside of the Innovation Hub on the 3rd floor. The goal here is to provide the students with a space that feels a bit more professional. This is adjacent to the business classroom, so thinking that this could be used for presentations and project pitches and things like that. But again, giving them a space that feels different than a classroom to support education in different ways. We have a very cool esports space that is starting to take shape. Again, wanting to give them their own brand, their own identity, but still relate to the graphic concept that you're seeing elsewhere in the facility. The classroom spaces we showed you last time, but the color story has evolved a little bit here. We have softened the colors even further from what you saw last time and have incorporated baffles into the hallway in a wood tone. So that's what you're seeing in the top left side here. Those will provide acoustic benefit to the hallway, but also provide an element of warmth and again, just create a more calming environment for the students. We have a teal color scheme or kind of this light blue-green color on half of the building. And then on the other side, it shifts to a green color to help with wayfinding. So you'll know which side of the building you're on based on the color that you see in your academic community. Within the classrooms, we're using a lighter tone of that pod color. So we have a light blue or teal color in about half of the classrooms, and then the other half would have the green, which you'll see in the next image. So again, just trying to create a classroom environment that's calming, still has some interest though, warm, inviting for your students. Some other spaces, academic spaces, we have our art classroom. This is actually the ceramics room. So you're starting to see the amount of cabinetry, access to multiple sinks, access to power from the ceiling, flexible furniture, great daylighting to support your arts program. This is one of the 2 digital media arts classrooms. So again, we've worked really hard with your teaching staff to actually create a custom desk unit for them that provides them with the best access to their students. They felt strongly that they didn't want a room where their students always had their back to them. So we were able to work together to create a design solution that will allow them to look at their students while they're teaching. And then finally, our engineering classroom. Again, this building has really specialized spaces that we've worked with your staff very hard on to make sure we're capturing their needs. So again, you can see a big garage door here to access to go outside and work on projects, power from the ceiling. In the back of the room, you're seeing a big double door that's open. There's actually the ability to connect the 3 engineering classrooms together. So if you were working on projects or different things, wanted to share resources, you have that direct connection.
All right, so next steps is as we're currently about 60 to 70% complete. So the phase that we just wrapped up was called design development. That's about 60 to 70%. We issued that last Friday, and then actually today kind of had an addendum with some additional information that has come in that'll help with the estimate. The next bullet is the estimate, is that SHP and HGC are creating our own independent estimates this month, and we will be ready in May to kind of align and reconcile in the month of May. Our goal is to be on budget and to align with the HGC estimate, and that's the biggest task at hand. From there, we will then be issuing some early packages that will allow work to start in June. So we will be having a clearing package, a foundation package, and then a steel package. And it will allow HGC to start the work this summer, start foundations this summer, and then start buying and ordering the steel. It's not like an overnight process to get thousands and thousands of tons of steel to show up. There's a back and forth with the actual manufacturer who's going to create it. So it takes a lot of months of submittal drawings and our structural working with the preferred subcontractor. So the big milestone for us is completing the construction documents, which is 100% documents by the end of August. And that will have everything in there. And you now can start to see the level of detail when you're seeing cord reels and soap dispensers and light switches. That's the level of coordination and detail that we're putting into the documents in this final kind of 70 to 100% run. So the groundbreaking is Wednesday, May 28th at 11 a.m. at the high school site. So we're excited to be there and to have that milestone moment. And I think next slide is questions, reactions.
I think it looks great.
Thank you.
Amazing.
But very, very impressive. I think just the key is you'd mentioned it already. Let's stay on budget here and stay on time.
Yep. Yeah. It's on the budget side, it's obviously an interesting time to be buying big quantities of stuff in the world. The good news is a lot of the requirements that we have, because the building will be LEED certified and it's a public funded school in Ohio, is it has a lot of already US made materials. So the tariff stuff will have an effect, but it's not like we're buying much beyond our borders. So there are some chips and some things that might come from overseas, but overall it's kind of murky of the effect that we're going to see on that. So but the positive side is that there's not many large projects that are bidding right now. So we think there's going to be a great amount of interest, and that will help drive things down. So HGC and SHP have a large task to estimate a 285,000 square foot building. That's a big lift, but and HGC also was very happy with the level that we've provided them. We've given them some really detailed schedules where they don't need to make assumptions, and so that will help clarify their estimating numbers.
So Jenny, I think this question is for you. The furniture that we're seeing now, that's pretty much the furniture that might be going in there. I saw that one classroom had low tables and then high.
So during the meetings we had with the staff, we did talk about furniture preferences a little bit. We wanted things to feel, real to them and not show desks if they'd prefer tables and things like that. But the actual furniture will be selected once the building is under construction. Like we had meetings to talk about, the technology they wanted, marker boards they wanted, storage needs, flooring type preferences. We will have those same meetings to talk about specific furniture types. So what you're seeing, I think, represents the initial wishes that the staff has put out, but we will have in-depth meetings in about 1.5 to 2 years.
Okay.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, as we've continued throughout this year, we've had presentations from buildings around our strategic initiatives, around our Power 5, or our personalized learning, or some of our culture work. Tonight, we're taking a little spin on that one of the major initiatives we had this year is we've, with the influx and the implementation of artificial intelligence and what role does that play within our school community? And so Matt Freeman is going to outline this a little bit, and I don't want to get too far in because I think he's going to cover some of this. We put together a team throughout the district to begin to tackle some of the ethical and innovative uses of AI. And so I'm going to turn this over to Matt Freeman and some of the representatives from our AI thought leaders from this year. Matt?
Thanks, Mr. Sears. It is exciting to kind of see the images from the new high school and looking at those learning spaces that our students are going to experience, and then thinking about the work that we're doing now with this AI Thought Leaders group. Got some representatives kind of filed behind me here that are going to do some sharing here in just a second. But, our task in teaching and learning, and what we're really excited about, is to think about those spaces as well as, all of our classrooms across the district, and thinking about how we can continue to think about future focused experiences for our students. And part of developing those kinds of educational experiences for students involves technology. And AI is something that has come on the scene the last few years. And I think you've heard Mr. Sears kind of describe this before. Future focused education is not a straight line. It is not linear. It is a squiggle line, I think, as we've seen in slides and past presentations. And that squiggle line really kind of explains our journey. And so, Don, if you want to move on to the next slide, wanted to start really just explaining a little bit about our initial steps with AI in the district. So it really started, when you think of AI, you've probably seen in documentaries or heard in podcasts. AI technology really is from like the 40s and 50s in its origin. I think of my childhood, and I'm going to date myself a little bit. Anybody ever heard of the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick? Can you remember that? And we're playing games. There you go. So we're kind of thinking back of how futuristic that seemed at the time. And now we kind of fast forward and think of how quickly technology is progressing. One of the things that we learned as a team is how quickly Netflix, for example, gained 100 million users, how many days it took. It took 10 years for Netflix to scale to 100 million users. It took Gmail 5 years. It took Facebook 4.5 years. It took Instagram 2.5 years. TikTok a little less. ChatGPT about 2 months. So that tells you really how quickly things are changing. And so as an institution, we're trying our best to kind of keep up to best prepare our kids. But we were first kind of introduced to this scale, this level of technology with our High Ames Leadership Conference back in December in 2022. And those first 3 bullets really kind of, we were introduced to a gentleman, Dr. Bill Daggett, who we invited to our district. He worked with a group of teacher leaders, our administrative team, and he held a community learning series and talked again about the future of education, which included AI technology. So he certainly was a source of inspiration for us. And then that kind of started us on this journey to trying to attend as many AI events as possible and to invite staff who were interested to join us. So Forward Edge, of course, is one of our business partners in IT, and they are all about AI. So they held a conference that we attended. We attended some Warren County and Butler County ESC events. OSBA, you all have been to OSBA and have seen the number of sessions in AI and how that impact is happening. So we knew right away that we needed to kind of stay ahead of this curve as much as we could. And so we developed with Forward Edge an AI Thought Leaders group. So that's kind of our journey since 2022 and getting to where we are today. And so Dee, I'll toss it over to you. You can talk a little bit more about our actual Thought Leaders groups, and we'll hear from our teachers.
Sure. So we wanted to get a group of people together to help on this journey. So we had seen Mateus at Forward Edge present several times. So we asked him if he could help us on this journey. He created these classes for us with 34 members of our staff, teachers and admin, including the preschool even. So everybody was represented. We met 7 times this year. They were all half-day sessions. But the thought was, you can't help us. We really wanted to create a guidebook of like, how does staff use AI? How do students use AI? What's a reasonable way to use it in both scenarios? Like, it can be a time saver, we know, but there's, ethical things you need to think about, student data privacy we needed to think about. So we needed these people who help us like create this guidebook, have a lot of knowledge about the subject. You can't just jump in cold, right? So I gave you guys the syllabus that he provided us. He really documents in that more of like what each session was and all the steps we went through. So from the history of AI, some of the stuff that Matt shared, to, where is it getting its data from? What is an appropriate use for kids and when is it not appropriate? All kinds of scenarios, all kinds of tools, like you think you'd heard of every tool you could ever think of, and then like the next week you present like 6 more. So it became, fascinating and overwhelming at the same time. So we had everybody reach out with this was our, purpose. We wanted to build AI literacy skills throughout the district, grow our AI skills, and then create this guideline for the district. We do have a guideline. Currently, it's in draft mode. So pretty soon we hope to wrap that up and present it to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Dee. So we do have 4 teachers. Dee mentioned we had 34 teachers and administrators participate as our AI thought leaders. And so we did an open invitation to all of those folks. And we had 4 great participants from all of our time together say, Matt, yes, choose me. Right? That's how it went? Exactly. Yes, that's exactly how it went. And so I'd like to introduce, and this is the order that they'll speak. We have Warren Hicks, teaches 6th grade math at Columbia. Jake Roop, he teaches iTime to 5th and 6th graders at Columbia. And Livingston teaches 8th grade science. And Joy McGee teaches social studies at Kings High School. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Warren.
Thank you, Matt. Board members, pleasure to be here today to talk about everything that we discussed with the AI thought leaders. It was incredible. Time well worth spent away from the kids. I don't like being away from the students. Being absent causes more work than it should. But this program that I have up on the board is one that I learned about in the Thought Leaders program. And it's been a kind of a development. I started with it super basic. And what it is a program, website called School AI. And they allow teachers to create learning opportunities for students that are specialized for a population. So I could differentiate learning for some of my students who may have IEPs or 504s by lowering Lexile levels on reading. I could increase math difficulties on problems. But where I really got use out of it was this little portion of it called a sidekick. It's a chatbot that follows the rules that I give it to provide kids with an opportunity to use it as a reference. When I first started, I realized that students were treating it like Google and were just asking it to solve the problem for them. And it was happy to oblige because it didn't know any better at the time. After looking into that and reviewing what the students were doing, I was able to use Gemini AI to write a prompt where students could no longer ask it questions. So on these, I have a couple samples of students. How do I, find an equivalent ratio? And it says, I can help you understand that. And it walks through some samples without explicitly answering the problem for them, instead highlighting certain portions that they need to be aware of. How do I find the LCM, the least common multiple? Great question. Super confident there. List the multiples, find it. And so it still doesn't explicitly state what it is. I'm using this in more of a, when I was learning math, if I didn't know something, I had to go find a textbook, open it up and do that. I don't have textbooks, and most kids wouldn't know what one looks like, but I have this here for them to access at any time. And I am able to see what every single student is searching for. And I can organize what's most frequently asked question. That way I can address it with the students. I can address it with students individually if they're showing issues with struggling with concepts, so that I don't have to call on them in the middle of class and make them feel, unsupported. It is a very privatized way for students to build their own learning at their own time without having to ask me directly for questions, because some students are afraid of a 6'5", teacher. But that is what the demonstration is on the right, the rationale behind what students are asking. It is an extremely helpful tool that I'm really just feel that I'm scratching the surface of right now. And I use this in conjunction with 10 different AI platforms to help me create projects, differentiate instruction, come up with new cool activities. Very awesome experience. So I appreciate the opportunity sharing it with you today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake Roop. I'm the iTime teacher at Columbia, and I am approaching the end of my first year in the district in this role. I have the unique opportunity to be teaching computers and technology to our 5th and 6th graders. And the conversations that I've had with other teachers and administration at Columbia this year, just gauging what iTime has looked like in the past few years. And the answers have been varied because technology advances and it requires the need to adapt. And in my first year, being able to be part of this cohort, I am quickly learning, okay, AI is becoming a very important reality for us teachers, but also our students. And so what I have been able to use it for on a personal level is coming up with project ideas that expose them to, so many new aspects of computers and technology. So what we are planning to do for next year is how can we invite AI into the classroom? Because whether we want to or not, students are already using it in the classroom. In some of our sessions, Warren and I have GoGuardian open while our students are at school, and we see them using it. And so we can either embrace the use of AI or run from it. And we must be proactive because, like I said, they are already using it. And we want to be able to coach them along, use it appropriately. So this fall, I am hoping to incorporate it into iTime. But what students need to understand, what is it? On a fundamental level, what is it? But also what it isn't. You can use the example Wikipedia, the good and bad, what Wikipedia is actually used for and what it shouldn't be used for. How it works, the acceptable and proper usage, but also the many applications that are out there. So starting to give them a little sampling, because that was the opportunity that we had in our meetings. It was almost like a food tasting where we were given sites to try this. If you're early elementary, you might like this program. High school, try this program. And it was just like drinking from the fire hose. There are so many AI opportunities out there. And so we want to start educating our 5th and 6th graders now because the future is here. And we want to educate them the best that we can. And so the question I have is, with it being called iTime, one day, is it going to be called AI time? We shall see. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ann Livingston, and just like Matt said, I'm an 8th grade science teacher at the junior high, and he hit the nail on the head when he talked about AI being a squiggle. I am a new teacher. I'm a second-year teacher. I came from the private sector, worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and now here I am. So as I was utilizing AI, I was looking at ways to help me have more of a toolbox to make my job a little bit easier. And I wish, I don't think you can click on my links because I think I have to be logged in, but I really would love for you to see the Notebook LM.
Up though.
Could you, yeah. Let's see. Could I just, I probably can't just sign in, can I?
Can you do you have your thing that you can share with me or no?
My thing, or
Computer, like
I don't have my laptop with me. But you can kind of see, based on what you've got there, you've got a couple of notebooks. The 8th grade curriculum for science is divided into 3 big units. We have earth science, life science, and physical science. And so we tackle those, you know, a few months out of the year for each one. And what I have done with Notebook LM, you can see the little books that they have there, that she has up there. I have created one of those notebooks for each of the units. And so I have collected the slides and the notes that I give to the students over each of those units. And I've taken those slides and added them as source material for my notebooks. Once that source material is there, your notebook can take that and create study guides, can create summaries, can create all kinds of different things. And as we have prepared for state testing, I have opened up those notebooks and been able to copy the study guides that it's created and put them in different formats for my students to review. And it helps because some of them prefer different ways of learning to others. It's that differentiated learning. I've been able to make flashcards really easily, Quizlets, move it into a game format without doing all the long work of creating them from scratch. It's still kind of rudimentary, so when I create these sources, I still have to go through them all and edit them and make sure that they make sense. But it has been such a simple way to like put my sources together and be able to have them in such a concise format. The other thing that it does is it will map out what you have. And so it will start with maybe an earth science bubble and break that into the 5 concepts in earth science and then break those down further and further. That has helped me as a new educator be able to see how they're organized and if there's gaps anywhere or if there's a different way to introduce them to the students that makes more sense. And that's why I wanted you to be able to see that because it really is cool the way that it does that. So Notebook LM has been a huge resource as a new educator, being able to organize things, prepare my students for testing, also make like study guides with questions attached to them so they're broken down so the students can look at the questions and see how they should be thinking about answering them. Just all those different tools. The second thing is a little bit more fun. If you want to go back to my slide, Dawn, being a new educator in a new classroom, down at the bottom, it talks about Marsquakes, how a meal planning concept. I don't think you can get into that either, but it's a meal planning concept for to maximize utilization of science lab resources. You walk into a new science classroom and if somebody else has had it before, you've got a lot of stuff. And sometimes you're not sure how to use it, standards change, but we keep the stuff. And one thing that's fallen by the wayside is a Quake and Shake project that they used to do, but it doesn't align with the standards anymore. Once we're done testing, we move into a space unit. And I just took a look at some of these huge boxes of stuff that I had. And AI has the capability to be utilized in your kitchen. You can put in the ingredients that you have and it will spit out like a meal plan for you. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can do that for a lab. So I put in my ingredients or my lab supplies and I said, how can I use these in a space unit for or a space exploration concept? And it gave me like 2 lab ideas. And one of them was building these houses for life on Mars that will survive Marsquakes. And anyway, I'll be doing that with the students. Once we're done with testing, we'll be building the habitats that they'll be living on when they successfully launch their rockets, which is a big 8th grade project. And so I'm excited to have something new that will utilize all the stuff in my room and hopefully be a fun learning experience for the kids. So that's it.
Awesome.
I brought notes, I'm sorry. All right, my name's Joy McGee. I teach social studies at Kings High School. Social studies, I think, is all encompassing. I teach AP European history. I teach honors US history. I teach personal finance and a class called race and film. So for me as year 5 teacher, I was looking for ways to, I don't know, broaden my horizons in terms of the way that students were getting information from me. I came into the district, I think August, like 25th of the COVID year. And I took over for a teacher that had been in education for like 30 plus years. So making sense of all of those materials and not needing to be dependent on things like teachers pay teachers, I really appreciated AI's ability to let me be the person in the driver's seat. So I, on my slide, just have a few of the AI platforms that are new to me for this year, with the first being Brisk Teaching. Brisk Teaching is something that a colleague introduced during, like, I believe our first session as a high school teacher, coming up with comprehension quizzes that are in a digital format can definitely be very tedious, and you want to make sure that you're actually testing students on the information that's going to help them do well on exams. So Brisk Teaching, you can basically take a YouTube video, a Google Doc, anything that is on your screen, essentially a PDF, and create a Google presentation from it, a podcast, a Google form quiz, a Google Doc quiz, you name it, it makes it for you. Guided notes, etc. It is something that is embedded in your browser, so it doesn't require you to bring up any other screens. It's embedded right into the browser that you're working with, so it's very accessible and user-friendly. An honorable mention that I have is CurryPod. As a social studies teacher, why I value personalized learning and not doing a lot of lecturing. AP Euro is 600 years worth of history. So there has to be some teacher-led learning happening, obviously. And getting through 600 years worth of history with just lectures can bog down the students. So CurryPod is an interactive slides presentation that builds activities into the presentation you're going over with your students. Slide 1, I go over the revolutions of 1848, and in the next slide, it will ask some type of question or have them do an activity like a word cloud, or maybe even one of them for the Great Depression had them questioning FDR. So very interactive, very engaging, and something just to break up the monotony of listening to Miss McGee talk for 50 minutes. I am a huge fan of Notebook LM as well. As a social studies teacher, there's a lot of material to get to. I teach 2 state-tested subjects. So having students be organized in the way that they get information and hold on to information is very important to me. Notebook LM essentially puts that right at their feet. They will take one document like a study guide and turn it into a mind map, turn it into frequently asked questions about that type of material. Honestly, it's really endless in terms of what you can do with Notebook LM. Organization as students move from high school into their careers or into college, that organization piece is huge. And so I love the fact that Notebook LM gives them something that will organize for them, for sure. I also use School AI. I was very afraid of it at first. Mateus did a really good job of showing us how to use it with him as the teacher, and then also showing us how to use it as the teacher teaching our students. So it essentially is a chat bot, but there's also tools. It will build podcasts. It will build quizzes for you. Like I said, like endless amounts of things for school AI. Note I only use for AP students. There's a really cool feature on Note where students can put in how many questions they believe they could get right on their AP test in terms of multiple choice questions, how many points they'll get on a short answer question, LEQ and DBQ, and it will predict their AP score. It will also do that with practice quizzes. So in terms of building confidence for students, maybe if it's their first AP class, Note has been instrumental in helping me build that confidence with students, and then also get access to really good practice. I don't think I missed anything. I really appreciate this opportunity for AI thought leaders. I did a interview with WLWT about a year ago, and I felt like it was not spun in the right light, if I can be totally frank. And I just I wanted to really redeem how it was pushed out to our school community, as someone that I feel like has been on the front lines for AI. So this really allowed teachers to see what we can do to let students use AI in an ethical way and a safe way. So I appreciate that experience for sure. Thank you.
Wow. Any questions or comments? These are some rock star teachers. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come this evening. As you can see, and we didn't even plan this, I mean, we have Columbia through the high school, and we think about the importance of AI literacy. So we heard in 5th and 6th grade the importance of teaching students how to use it. You know, it is a tool, it is there, we cannot run from it, we will embrace it, and we will learn to leverage it. And that starts with, of course, ethical use. And we heard that today. So all the way to, I mean, I hadn't even heard of these tools. Note, what's that, Joy? I didn't even know that one. So I must have missed that. But so many opportunities. So we've got the exciting pieces, and then we also have, you know, the as Deanne said, the data privacy components and the safety components that we're also on top of, and that will be a part of our guidelines that we'll share with you as well. But any questions or comments? And then I'll stop.
Can we have a follow-up with WLWT just to show? I mean, these are some great examples of how you're using it. And I think that's that story. I remember it, they totally missed it.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is that the coach who helps us through these 7 sessions, I'm actually going to sit down with him and curate that first project and experience with 5th and 6th graders.
I really appreciate knowing how much as teachers you have delved into AI and how it can help you become a better teacher in the classroom just by providing those supports. Because one of the things I remember is thinking, oh, teachers may go home at 2:30, 3 o'clock, but they're going to work 3 or 4 more hours getting ready for that next unit. And so anything to help you, I am just thrilled to hear about. Thank you.
I just love that you're embracing this. So like as a district together and like building it from our younger students all the way up. Because I don't know, the thing that kept sticking out to me as I was listening to this is it's curiosity and digging in and learning what all these different things can do. And you know, we have to capture that curiosity when our kids are little and keep building on that all the way through high school. So thank you very much.
I just want to thank Deanne and Matt and Dana and our team here of teachers. Tracy she was here. She's one of our coaches. You know, just for taking the lead on this. And you know, there are a lot of districts. I'm in conversations throughout the region that are not having discussions around AI. And I think we've pride ourselves on trying to be on the forefront of providing exceptional experiences for our kids. And we've approached AI from a conservative standpoint too. One, let's focus on creating greater teacher efficiency, because the jobs are complex, the needs of our students are there, but it's how do we use this to create efficiency in our own self, and then also increasing student engagement and student achievement. And I think you saw some fantastic examples of how we're creating teacher efficiency with high levels of student engagement matched with student achievement. And those are great combinations to have. And we're thankful for teacher leadership in our district that embraces future-focused, forward-thinking education for kids. This matches our issues where our perceptions and leadership towards personalized learning. It also is what Power Five is representing. We have teachers demonstrating Power Five skills, learning new things, collaborating, communicating, critical thinking, and problem solving. It's pretty awesome. So we thank you all for your leadership. Thank for leadership here as well. And we're off to a great start with AI to really impact kids. So thank you.
But the other things I'll say is, if you like this, we've also put in a presentation for OSBA. Kind of building on this, hopefully when we have our guidelines too, we'll have that to share and then be able to share it in a larger state at the state level too. With
great.
some of our teachers that spoke tonight. And we're going to partner with Forward Edge too. They might not know that yet.
Voluntold.
And with Forward Edge. So we're excited to partner with them. Hopefully we get a chance to do that.
Mr. Morrow?
Okay, so shift gears. A lot of great things as always, and wanted to give the board an update on finances. We've done this regularly for the past 2 years. We've had multiple special meetings where we focus just on finances because with so much awesome things going on, we shoehorn this in nearly every meeting, but the board has spent a substantial amount of time outside of regular meetings having these discussions. And you can go ahead to the next slide. It's forecast season, so I wanted to give the board an update prior to the May approval and presentation. So I've been working for the past couple months on updating the November forecast, pretty close to being done on a draft, with the biggest unknown being the state budget that nobody really knows what's going to end up happening. So basically the bottom line is we're on the same trajectory as we were in November, and we had a special board meeting directly after that presentation to dig in even deeper. You can go to the next one. Thank you. So there's good news about bad news, I guess we'll put that. We've seen this coming. If you look at the black line, that is the current draft forecast compared to the gray dashed line, which is the November forecast, within 1% of where we thought we would be 5 months ago, which was within 1% of the 6 months before that. So there hasn't been substantial change. We've done a nice job of being able to kind of see where we're heading. We're just getting closer and closer to that. We'll call it red, which is bad, just like stop. I like the quote that's in the top right quarter here. We continue a trend towards revenue shortfall. Our expenses continue to rise at an inflationary rate. We're not having massive adds in staff or student programming, but our revenues are essentially becoming flat at this point. You can go ahead and go to the next one. Thank you. So the past and present. So 3 years ago, we were in a similar situation in that our revenues were flat, and we continued to see essentially inflationary increases in cost. As the cost of everything goes up, our expenses go up even without adding staff or adding programming. So into November of 2022, our community approved basically an inflationary revenue generation of an operating levy.
The board promised at that time that there would be no operating levy ask and no student programming reductions for 3 years. In November, we will be at that 3 years. Mr. Sears and I created community groups immediately after the passage of the levy to dig into how do we get more money from the state, and then how do we spend our money? How do we generate revenues? Is there anything the community has suggestions, ideas, anything you would like to see? We had numerous meetings that winter and spring, and I'll give credit to those groups with kickstarting $7.2 million in revenue generations or cost savings without affecting student programming. So these are ways we've generated revenue or cut expenses around the fringes, all while dealing with little help from the state, which we'll touch on more in a minute. I always like to put this up and give the shameless plug that the district website, the treasurer's page, we try to put a ton of information out there as far as things that we're doing, grant information. This can be found at the treasurer's page of the website at any time and gets updated as we get new information. If it's changed a little bit in the last couple of months, just as we get new information, we want to make sure that we're giving the most up-to-date and transparent information to our community.
Mr. Morrow, I'm going to chime in real quick, and I have said this before in these conversations and platforms. The totals that we're seeing here are representative of the board's commitment to trying to make things last, cut where we need to cut, make adjustments, and to do that in a really responsible way while protecting the classroom experience. That has been a commitment of this board and administration. And so we're really appreciative of the board's guidance, ensuring that we're doing some fiscally conservative approaches. But I know we want to move through this, but I think it's extremely important to know there's a lot of work that the board and administration has done to get to this point. And with different reductions, utility purchasing, some different hiring practices, staffing things, and advocacy, it's a big number. And we're expecting that to be closer to that 8 million for the start of the fall of 26. So for the start of the next school year. So we're continuing to work and squeeze every ounce out of every place imaginable that does not impact the classroom experience, and we're going to continue to do that. So that's what we promised our community. It's also what we should be doing as leaders of the district. So we're confident we're going to get this number higher to start the year. And I think what we'll start to see on the next few phases in the next few slides, it's having very little impact on the bottom line. And that's the challenging piece for us is we've done a lot of things that are not impacting the classroom, but we're not seeing that benefit from the bottom line. And that's part of the challenge that we have in Kings. And I'll turn it back to Mr. Marr to kind of go that next step.
Thank you. So I said little help from the state a couple slides ago. I actually talked about state funding in more detail at the work session, but I wanted to bring this slide back up. When I say little help from the state, I think this is a great representation of how little help we actually do get. This is our neighbors and how much they're getting for every student that they educate. And there's Kings on the far left. Obviously the bigger numbers and bigger lines mean they get more per student than us. Sycamore, that they're our neighbor, they're included, but they're kind of an outlier. Their property valuations are just through the roof. So it makes sense that they're a really far outlier compared to everybody else. But it's important to note that when the state formula says how much every district should get, essentially it's based on how wealthy your district is. Every district on this sheet is more valuable, has more property value per student than Kings, and you can still, we still get much less. And every district except Little Miami and Lebanon on this sheet have higher incomes than the families of Kings. So the state set formula says that they're going to fund based on the level of wealth in communities, but you can see here that it's not really working for us, and it hasn't worked for us for a long time. I also pointed out at the last meeting about how the House budget basically, and we can go ahead and flip to the next one. The House budget is just residual budgeting. They're saying take what Kings got in 2025 and give them that in 2026 plus a little bit more. It's actually not a bad thing for us. If you look at the fair funding formula in the governor's proposal, we're actually losing money. We got less this year than we got last year from the state. So we deal with the same inflationary increases as everybody else, and they give us less year over year. There's a lot of talk across the state of the fair school funding plan going away and that being a terrible thing. I get it for some districts, but that's not Kings. Based on the current formula, we'll take what we got the year before so we don't keep losing. Under the governor's proposal, we were estimating a loss of approximately $2 million over a 3-year period. In the House version, we basically are flat over a 3-year period. I say small win in quotation marks because it's not a win at all for us to have flat funding, but it's better than losing $2 million. But this is something that Kings has been dealing with for a long time, and is part of the reason that our financial picture current looks like the way it is. We're just not getting adequate funding from the state of Ohio, and we're relying on our local taxpayers to fill that void and to step in and step up when we do need those inflationary increases in revenue because we're not getting it here.
What's interesting about this, go back, please, Don. Thank you. What's interesting about this is, we put on here it's a small win. I mean, the way that the state funding formula / budgeting process works in Kings is that we're celebrating not losing as much, and that's the frustrating hard formula. The formula and the way things are not designed to help us. So there's been a lot of advocacy, a lot of things that are happening. In fact, when you talk to some of the local legislators and statewide, the way that the state budget works for schools, they're trying to get more schools. The whole process is designed to have more schools look exactly like Kings, where it's a reliance on local taxpayers to support the district. That's the initiative throughout the state. All of the work being done will ultimately put more schools in the same category as where we are. There is a perception that what we have in Kings, we have a low cash balance. We're not carrying over a lot. We're a growing district. We're not adding staff. And all of that is looked at as a positive thing statewide through the legislator, that we are doing it the way it's meant to be done. The frustrating piece of that is it puts a burden on local taxpayers to continue to have to support our schools, or we dramatically change the classroom experience in our school district. Tough sledding. So when we get word like this, that we have flat funding for 2 years, we're almost high-fiving because we didn't get cut. But the way the formula is designed, it's not designed to benefit districts that like ours due to property values and income levels. That's the hard piece we're advocating against. We're growing, we're more diverse, we have more needs, and we feel like that absolutely needs to be factored into the formula for us for more funding, because it does continue to put a burden on our teachers and taxpayers. So we're working on it. We have groups doing this. We have committees that are sending letters. I know we put stuff out. We are at, as I said last week, we are at halftime of the budget process. I feel like we're tied. We lost the first quarter, which is the governor. We're tied at halftime. We still have the Senate, which is the third quarter, and the combination at the end. We got a ways to go, but we'll keep at it, trying to generate any wins that we can for Kings because our community deserves it.
You can go ahead to the next one. So I wanted to kind of show this graphically, that when we talk about these small wins and losses, yes, it has it's a lot of money, and it is something that we should fight for and we should advocate for. But let's kind of look at it of the different scenarios. So you have the top line that's gray that shows our cash balance over time with the House version of the budget. Red line at the bottom is the governor's version of the budget. And then the blue line in the middle is kind of some middle ground between the two, just for graphical representation. Since we're not gaining, that the line continues to go down. We continue to see cash balance go down because our revenues aren't keeping up. When we get a quote unquote win, it's us not losing and that line not going down faster. Go to the next one. So this is a good graphical representation that the board's seen multiple times, but it's just good to show that the line is our expenses. It's not a rapid rise in expenses over time. It's just a soft, gentle inflationary increase over time. But then our revenues, the blue line, it shows that they're kind of flat until you get a nice bump from 22 to 24, which is a community approved inflationary increase property tax levy. And then with no increases from the state, that line flattens out and the expenses pick back up with that line, and you go into your revenues not meeting your expenditure needs very quickly. It doesn't take long when you have flat revenue for expenses to jump over that. So the big red arrow in the middle is 2025. That's where we're at right now. We're fiscal year 25, and that ends in June 30th of 2025. So we're kind of at the tail end of revenues keeping up with our expenses, and we're headed towards revenues continuing to be flat, but those expenses continuing to rise. Get ahead. So kind of looked a little bit at the past, the present, where are we going? Mr. Steer stated it that we have a small cash balance, which could also be called a savings account. And that means that when our revenues don't keep up with our expenses, it doesn't take long to spend through our savings account, just like somebody else a person or a house who's spending more than they bring in. You burn that money very quickly. And it takes a long time to actually generate revenue or make cuts. It can be a timely process or a long process depending on when you do that. So you always have to be ahead of it. So we're at the point, and we'll present about this more in May, that the board and administration are going to have to look at, what do we do for next year? Do we generate revenue such as a property tax levy? Do we cut student programming? Mr. Steers and I have talked about it. We've cut around the edges a lot. We put a ton of work in. We talk about it every day in one form or the other. It's to the point where if we're going to make cuts, it's going to start affecting the student experience in the classroom. Or do you do some of both? Some revenue generation with some cuts that affect the student experience. And as I said, this is it's something you have to be out in front of, because if for the first bullet point, generate revenue, once we get past June, that opportunity is gone for an entire year. Cut class student programming that affects the classroom. Once you hit the end of June, early July, if you haven't done it, that opportunity's gone. So if you see that coming, then you have to be proactive and do something about it before those kind of timelines hit. And that's why in the beginning, where I showed that we keep estimating within 1% over and over of where we're going to be. So we're headed there. Like, this chart hasn't changed for 2 years. We just keep modifying it by 1% at a time, but we're at that point where we know it's coming, so the board is going to have to do something.
So if we would go, levy we're out of generating revenue, can you bring some scenarios to the May meeting?
Absolutely.
Anything else? Any questions from the board?
People listening, think about the budget conundrum. What percentage of the budget currently is our people?
Our people is the vast majority. So when I say and you say our people, I think of every human that is providing some type of student service. So we have our own staff, which is our teachers, our aides, our administrators, secretaries, all of those. But I also include the services that we buy. So bus drivers, we don't employ them, but there are people, they're transporting our kids. We have educators for special services that we contract. Once again, they're not on our payroll, but they are our people because they're giving services to our kids. It's 90%. When you look at all of that, all of our purchase services, all of our staff, you're at 90%. So if you're gonna make
Anything else? Thank you for the update. Depressing, but thank you.
Before we go on to the next section, I just want to take a minute just to provide the board an update on a few things. Over the past few weeks, there's been some quite a bit of communication around some of the student parking issues that we've had in the community. And I know that in our district that, we have throughout the high school design process and even as part of the original CAT team and putting that work together on what is the future going to be in terms of the new building. The priority one from the community advisory team, priority number one is to increase the parking. And so that is absolutely something that we have known and understood that is a challenge. Especially in the spring as there are more drivers stepping on the gas for the first time as they acquire their license. And so it's priority one, and we're working through over the next few years once we get the high school finished. We're going to add a significant number of parking spots to Kings High School. That'll be more than enough for our kids throughout the day. We feel like that's going to be a great solution moving forward. We'll more than double the amount of current parking spaces that we have on our current lots. We feel good about that. We know that this is a challenge within our community, and we certainly empathize with the folks that may be impacted with that on a daily basis. And we do appreciate the communication that has happened over the last couple of weeks. And as it's always opportunities for us to evaluate and get better and work with our students in ways. And so I want to commend the board for communication and our team as well. But the things that we've looked at and the communication we've had not only with our township, we've talked to all the township officials multiple times, talked to the sheriff's office multiple times. They've been out. We've added signage to the area. They've marked areas for our students to park not park. We're monitoring that daily. There's a few of us that drive the route every morning and looking for students that may not be parked in appropriate places, and we've had students move their cars first thing in the morning as we drive in. So trying to understand or empathize with the folks that it is tough as we're a growing district. We've got a number of great suggestions that have been brought to us from the community around things that we can do. And we certainly appreciate that. So we've looked at that critically. Some of the things just aren't feasible for what we want to do. But over the last week, I had a personal conversation with the current president at Mercy Hospital. Liz Moore, we had a great conversation, and I asked her, Liz, what are the opportunities that we would have to potentially have some of our students park there, just on a short-term basis as a trial? Let's see if this works. For our kids to be able to navigate into the Mercy parking lots, and so that we're relieving some of that pressure on our community. So we've done that. They took a hard look at it, Mercy. Certainly, it's maybe an opportunity for a greater partnership for us. They have been very collaborative. Liz responded to me earlier this week, actually, late Friday afternoon. Liz responded to me, and on Monday, we've been able to negotiate an agreement for Mercy to open up 55 parking spots in a certain location in their parking lot, and that our kids are going to have the opportunity to park there in a safe location with access to our high school. And so I know Mr. Lucky and Mrs. Rose today got together to start to map out what that looks like, who that goes to, how do we coordinate that again to work to collaboratively with our community to relieve some of that pressure. So we will hopefully fine tune that in the next couple of days to roll that out to our students here soon. Again, as a trial for the remainder of this year, and then we'll see what that looks like. And obviously, with the partnership with Mercy, maybe expand that a little bit more next year. But we're going to start small to see if that works. So we're thankful of the community relationship that we have, and the relationship that we have with Mercy. They are always accommodating, and when in that collaboration, we're super appreciative. Their president even went outside on my first phone call and said, Greg, let me count some spots. And she was out doing it herself. And so her security team got together. So we're going to put some monitoring there. We're going to have some placards for kids. We're going to do that well. So I wanted to update the board. We haven't been able to have that conversation around this. But I think if you have the opportunity to personally thank Mercy for their collaboration, their partnership, we're really excited about that. And I know Mr. Lucky and Mr. Rose have fine-tuned those details, and we'll roll that out to our kids in the next couple of days. So not anything we want to add to that, or we. Okay. So and again, we're thankful for the feedback. We're thankful for the work folks do. We understand it's an annoyance, and it's and we have high expectations for student behavior too. So if our students are doing what they need to do, and that's why we send a letter to our community and parents to make sure that we are being good neighbors. So we're appreciative of the communication, and we're looking forward to a positive step forward for the remainder of this year as we trial this. So if there's any communication from the board, we can move on.
So it is become active here in just the upcoming weeks.
I think we're hopeful to target the kids. Matt, you grab the mic. He's a little more detailed on that.
Yeah, hopefully, the request from the hospital, we have parking permits for the kids, so those are ordered. We've got the 55 spots. We're working with the different kids. It's got to be successful. We're going to do everything we can to make it successful so that we can stay. So we're going to put a little more time in that. Here's 55 spots. Get the right people over there to make it work the best. So I'd say by the beginning of next week, we'll have the passes that were ordered in hand, have it with the kids. We'll meet with the kids, make sure we set the right expectation. We're guests of the hospital from a safety perspective for the hospital, and safety for getting kids across the street into our facility. So it's going to take a little bit of time to do it right, but that's key. We don't want to get over there and do it wrong and lose the 55 spots.
Mr. Sears, can you email us or send a text or somehow get the information that we need on contact person and
I will
address?
I will absolutely share Liz Moore's contact information with the board.
Thank you.
That is great. A question that came up when they were doing the high school presentation. Will there be access to any of that parking at the new high school prior to the building being done, or is that too hard when you have construction vehicles going through? It just thought about
Tough
it.
news is I really hope we can maintain what we have exactly currently. I have a feeling we're probably going to lose a few down on that far south end because the building's actually into the parking lot a little bit.
Right.
We're not going to lose a ton,
we're not gonna gain any.
Okay.
Anytime soon.
I just didn't know if like at the tail end of the construction process, I don't know.
If hope is our strategy, that's what we got. I mean, that's, we got a chance.
We'll do the best we
Yes,
can.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, sorry.
Thank you for that update. Moving on, next item on the agenda is public participation. The King's Board of Education recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The board offers public participation to members of the public and applies the procedures to all speakers and does not discriminate based on the identity of the speaker, content of the speech, or viewpoint of the speaker. The board is also committed to conducting its public business meetings in a productive and efficient manner. The board provides a period of public participation at every regular meeting of the board and publishes rules to govern such participation in board meetings. The board president is the presiding officer and will administer the rules of the board. The portion of the meeting during which the participation of the public is invited is limited to 30 minutes unless extended by the vote of the board. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes. So first this evening, we have Loretta Brayton. Mrs. Brayton?
Now, I'm glad Mr. Sears is here and the money man. Because we want you to add on to that current. No, pardon. That's what people do need and want. And I would just like to say that I met with Miss Roth in my home and several people of the community. And I'm sorry, Janelle, that you walked out of my home thinking that we wanted you to go to the school and use Mr. Lieutenant Payne's parking regulations and flip it into a Word document and send it out to all the parents. But that is not what Kingsville wants. In the 25 parking so-called violations were not violations at all, they were warnings. And these kids can't learn unless there's consequences. So, but there's another aspect to this. Did you know that there was a drug bust at the corner and the Maple Point in Miami? So these students that are parking down on Miami are walking by a drug house and going to school. Who knows? Maybe that guy was selling fentanyl, God forbid. But also another situation has come up where a lady, and it was sent to the school, a picture was sent to the school of a young lady hitting a bomb sitting in her car on her lunch break. And she gets out and goes to school. But you can't do anything about that because that little young lady wasn't on school property. She was on public property. What you guys call public parking, which is in front of a woman's house with little children. Now, there is got to be some situations where we can come to an agreement. You have a parking lot fund. That parking lot fund should be used to add crushed limestone. Because I was here a year ago and talked about the same thing. Crushed limestone, if it's wet, it turns to concrete.
Great, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Your time is up. 3 minutes. Thank you.
articles, approval items from the treasurer. Mr. Morrow?
Thank you. I have no additions from the work session, but if the board has any questions.
What questions or comments from the board? May I have a motion to approve the approval items for the treasurer? I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow?
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull.
Yes. Our next item is approval items for the superintendent. Mr. Sears, anything from you? Nothing this evening. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have our approval items from the assistant superintendent HR business. Mr. Spinner.
Thank you, President Squirrel, Kings Board of Education. Just a couple of items I'd like to point out this evening under staff resignations, retirements, and our personnel agenda. First up, we have 3 staff members, Linda Hare, Lori Petroselli, and Jane Weed, who are going to take advantage of the personnel savings plan that we've proposed. This is a savings of over $120,000 in salary and benefits. And this amount takes us over the $1 million mark since the program's inception. So again, another way in which we are trying to be efficient here in the Kings Local School District, and we are moving closer to that $8 million goal that we set forth that Mr. Morrow and Mr. Sears talked about earlier in our district finance section. Would also like to point out 2 retirements. First, congratulations to Miss Kim Ackerman. After 36 years of dedicated service, Kim has submitted her letter of resignation to retire. She began her career with the Kings Local School District in 1989 as the administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent. And in 2003, she transitioned into her current role as administrative assistant to the superintendent. Over the course of her tenure, Kim has worked with 8 different superintendents, a true testament to her adaptability, professionalism, and commitment to the district. Congratulations also goes out to JF Burns 4th grade teacher, Jenny Bowman. Jenny truly embodies the phrase, once a night, always a night. She is retiring after 47 years in Kings. I want to clarify that. 13 as a student and 34 as a teacher.
Wow.
Her entire teaching career has been spent in 4th grade, beginning at KME in what is now Mr. Sears's office, and continuing at JF Burns, which, as shared in her beautiful resignation letter, is just 1.1 miles from her home. To say Jenny's love for Kings runs deep is an understatement. Congratulations to both Kim and Jenny on remarkable careers and lasting legacies. They will both be greatly missed.
Mr. Spinner, I'm gonna take a second, and I just want to, personally congratulate Kim Ackerman. She's delivered excellent work for so many in this district for so long. She's a lot of people. She's the rock in central office, and she's been there. And I think she's seen it all and done it all, especially putting up with 8 of us. But we're very appreciative of everything Kim has done. We know that this decision for her to retire is bittersweet. She's given a lot to this district and is really looking forward to the next phase. And we wish her nothing but the best. But we're fortunate to have such an amazing person that has kind of been the central rock in our central office for so many years. So we appreciate it. We thank Kim and wish her the best of luck. We will celebrate her along with many of our other retirees here in the coming weeks.
I have a motion to approve the approval items for assistant superintendent, HR and business.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion. Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Skrull.
Yes. Next item on this agenda, we have approval items for the assistant superintendent educational programs. Mr. Martin?
Good evening, everyone. So we've talked about wit and wisdom past couple of times, and Matt is here one last time to talk about it and then share the contract, the quote with you too.
Last month, we did have an opportunity to kind of go through the process for selecting our K-5 resource for ELA. Just wanted to see if you had any questions on that. We did provide the latest and greatest contract here. That would provide us all of our print materials, our digital teacher resources, as well as an assessment platform for our students for next school year. It is, yes. This is fulfills the state requirement for a state-approved curriculum for ELA.
I do have one question on the invoice. It shows a discount of $100,000. Is that something that you negotiated?
I wish I could take credit for that.
I was, again, thinking ways that we're helping save money.
They provide a lot of teacher resources for free, and they call that a discount.
Okay.
Some of the print materials.
It's good to see those. Any questions from the board? May I have a motion to approve this agenda item?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Morrow, please.
Mr. Belfrom,
Yes.
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Squirrel.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is items presented by the board. Do we have any new business we would like to bring up this evening? I do want to say thank you, Mr. Sears, for your efforts helping to resolve the parking and working on that partnership with Mercy. I think that this is good for our relationship. Definitely, I think opens the doors for us.
Great.
There's nothing else. We will move on to our next item, legislative liaison update. Mr. Belfrom, do you have any updates this month?
No, the elephant in the room is House Bill 96. Passed through the House last Wednesday. I believe there was an omnibus amendment by the Finance Committee, but it doesn't change any of the challenges that Mr. Morrow has outlined for us. So yeah, it's really for districts in Ohio, that's, I hate to say elephant in the room, but right now that's the elephant in the room. We're waiting to see what the Senate comes back with. And of course, as Mr. Morrow's outlined in his presentations, the governor's proposals. So it's really the big issue here. So just waiting for more information on that.
Thank you.
That's all I had, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Belfrom. Next we have is our student achievement liaison update. Mrs. Ruff, do you have anything to share this evening?
Yes, I do. And I have to say, I know we do a student achievement update every month, but I feel like we need to do a staff achievement because you guys have just blown us away. Every single month we have staff come and present to us and all of the amazing work you do with our students. And, you know, it's because of you that they're making these great achievements. So thank you. But
Summary for I lost you, this one second.
that's okay. There we are.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I tried to feature some bigger groups this time. So the first one, when we think about being good communicators, on April 3rd, our entire senior class presented their reflection projects for their community service. This is just one example of how the high school prepares our students for life after Kings. It also helps them brush up on their presentation skills for any job they may have in the future. So I did talk to Mrs. Brandt and got an update. Just the class of 2025, we are at 15,779 hours of community service and counting, because there's a couple seniors that aren't done yet. Okay. Third graders in Mrs. Lapinto's room plan to rock their state tests starting this week. And we know all over the district, we have critical thinking going on with our students taking their EOC tests. So I know they celebrated that, but I know it's being celebrated at every school this week. Hey, in terms of problem solvers, we know that in the STEAM class at Columbia Intermediate, there are always great projects going on. This one was about an exploding snowman, and you can see the teacher working with the kids, and they just always make these problem-solving projects super fun in that classroom. Collaborators. Last week, our Source of Strength team at the junior high held a healthy activities week, and the junior high students got to promote socializing, having fun together. So great job to Sources of Strength, and just loved seeing these collaborations in each of these pictures here. And then I just don't think we can go without talking about our spring interns. These interns are hard at work in their positions right now. We couldn't be more proud of this program and how it has grown in such a short time. We know each student is more career ready than they were a year ago. Thanks for representing King so well in these different industries. Also, Mrs. Snyder gave me some numbers. Last year, we had 4 spring interns. This spring, we have 15, and next year, we are already set to have 42. So this program is just amazing, and they are really ready to start their careers because of this. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Groff.
You're welcome.
Mr. Searle?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Sears. I hope it's okay. You saw me step out here just a few minutes ago. Those were 2 of our senior students that wanted to speak to you, but weren't on the agenda. And I promised them that I would share with their invitation. So they're representing the high school baccalaureate team, and I wanted to personally invite the board and the central office team to the senior class of 2025 baccalaureate on May 14th at 7 p.m. at Christ Church of Mason. So thank you.
Thank you for telling us. We wouldn't miss it.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. All right, next on our agenda, we have executive session. We are about to enter into executive session for the following purpose. Matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or rules or state statutes. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Morrow?
Ms. Groff,
Yes.
Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Cowan,
Yes.
Mr. Beltram,
Yes.
Mr. Skirl.
Yes. Then once we come out of executive session, we will adjourn. So thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a good evening.